Hey, what's up everyone? My name's Alckemy. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the latest and greatest sample pack that is available now called Insidium for 25 bucks, and it is my hardest hitting sample pack yet. We've got kicks, snares, pads and textures, subs. We're going to go through some of the sounds, and then I actually want to show you some of the projects that I'm working on for the EP that I'm getting ready to put out. So yeah, let's go ahead and just jump into some of these sound, and then you can be the judge and see if this seems like your style. As you can tell, I like really doofy kicks. Lots of cool stuff in there. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the claps and snares. Yeah, there's over 200 of those. We can look at some of the subs. Yeah, lots of really big sounds. And then of course we have some bass chops. So just neuro hits that you can use as fills or as phrase makers. Yeah, really cool stuff. We've got some really heavy drum breaks on here. We've got some lighter ones too, but for the most part, I have been putting a lot of work in Superior Drummer and trying to really get some heavy drum loops. Yeah, so as you can see, just some really heavy stuff and lots of variety. Some of it's halftime, some of it's drum and bass, some of it's more of jungle-esque breaks. We've got 46 hats included. I remember that my last pack I didn't include any. And then we have the pads and textures and the modular random. So this is just stuff that's like vibes. It's not really meant to be thrown in and used as like a main riff of a sample, but it's really helpful in a video that I have coming out later with something that I've been doing of just starting from something that kind of has some emotion, a little bit of texture, and kind of builds an atmosphere around making the track. A lot of this stuff is like relatively spooky. Some of it's like really nice chords and pads. But yeah, there's quite a bit of these as well. Then finally, we have some of the modular stuff, which most of this is rhythmic, and it's kind of just meant to serve as like a percussion replacement. And I could have gone through and taken all of the percussive sounds in here and chopped them up, but I like them because you can kind of just throw in some of these in here for context and then start playing around with pitching and stuff. And it seems to work a little bit better, at least for me. But lots of textures in here. Yeah. So all of these sounds have been a culmination of me writing tracks or me writing sketching or something of the sort. Like it's very rare that I actually sit down and I'm going to be like, oh, I'm actually going to make samples. A lot of times at the very beginning of a project, I'll do everything from scratch. This project is no different. I'm going to go through the 3 tracks that I have and just play a little bit of the first section to give you some context about what to expect here and how I use them. And then you can be the judge and see if this pack is for you. But this is the first track off the EP. It's called My Penance. And let's take a listen and look at some of the samples that I've used here, which should all be included in the pack, by the way. then of course we have those fill sounds kind of like this, which you'll see in there as well. Yeah, and even from the beginning with the pads and the textures and stuff, you'll kind of see like this is where a lot of this comes from. And so, you know, if you like any kind of music like I do, or you're interested in this kind of music at all whatsoever, generally speaking, I'll start from a pad and texture and then start building the drums and use a distorted bass, which is why I've included the subs. As you can hear on this, it's really just a distorted regular bass, nothing special about it. And then I'll use those cool bass fills to kind of, you know, add interest or whatever, kind of like this. So yeah, that's the first track. Let's go ahead and take a look at my decree, which has probably the biggest range of drums included. And I kind of want to show you some of the ways that I play off of having different snares and different moments to kind of create a call and response. As soon as this loads. Maybe, if it wants to. It might not. Cool. We're going to go ahead and jump into the main section here. So with this track, I kind of wanted there to be a lot of variation and kind of more play on the texture of the transients and whatnot. And so even though it seems super busy, there's not really a whole lot that's going on, but the kick and the snare have a nice contrast to them, and that makes it able to kind of swap those out for some of the heavier ones, kind of like this. And then there's some layering that's kind of going into play and whatnot too. But yeah. And then, of course, some of the bass fills and whatnot are, again, placed in the same way. And that's generally how I make things these days is I'll have a regular sub. In this case, it's just a Reese. And then I'll have some cool bass fills or something. And yeah, that's how I create a lot of that texture. So the last track is called Your Virulence, and this is probably the heaviest track. And a lot of those breaks that I had played for you is going to be included in this track in particular. And so I kind of just want to showcase how I've used those in context, so that way you have an idea about how to actually put these together, which, funny story, I actually haven't broken up the kicks and snares in this, or even the drum break for the most part. This is the main thing. I don't know, it sounded fine to me, so I didn't really bother with it, but here's the main section for this one. Yeah, there's some really cool textures in here, like with the explosive snares. Those are also included, and then this break should be in those files as well. Been taking a lot of time to really develop my superior drummer skills, and I'm really happy with the kinds of textures and heaviness that have come about as of late. And then with the basses, even though this looks like it's in MIDI, they are a long sample that I spliced together all within the same key. And then I'm just using a macro to automate the start and stop point. It's nothing new, but if you can kind of get some basses that sound very similar, then you can kind of bunch them together and then do kind of a similar trick. Although I did make the bass from scratch with either a sound kind of like this. I believe that there's another one here, if I'm not mistaken. We just have to find it, which I'm going to guess it's green. It's not green. Maybe it's this one. There's one more, I believe. That's the really cool one. It should be labeled as Robert, if I'm not mistaken. Some other stuff here. Let me see. I'm not gonna spend too much time on it if I can't find it, but here we go. So Six Saucer, that's this one, and that's where a lot of this stuff came from. And that's where a lot of these talking sounds that you'll hear from those packs have come from, or just patches like this. A lot of times what I'll do is change the LFO or add another LFO on the pitch in order to get some of the bending stuff or whatever. And yeah, it came out nicely. And so after bouncing out a bunch of those and just, you know, doing what I had mentioned before, I can kind of just automate the start point. Yeah, sounds pretty cool. So in any case, this is my sample pack. It's called Insidium, and I wanted to show you the projects that I've been working on leading up to this point. There's a bunch of other throwaway tracks that I've made or whatever, but rather than just be like, oh, look at the tracks, look at the demos, like, no, these are songs that I plan on releasing, and this is like the sounds that I'm providing are ones that I'm using in a track. And yeah, they are a reflection of my work. So once again, you can get it on alchemy.com. It's $25. And if you do cop it, let me know what you think, and, you know, leave a review and let me know what you would like to see in the future. But yeah, thank you to all my supporters. Thanks to everybody. If this is your first time in the channel, I go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And then also I have just tons of resources, like almost 2,000 videos now, according to YouTube, on tutorials and live streams. If you're looking for masterclasses, we have that for the ARCANUM memberships. And if you just want my presets and sounds, well, that's what this is for. You can get all that at alchemy.com. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one.